So, let's talk about something that feels, well, kind of radical in our hyper-connected world: the right to disappear. We're going to dig into what that really means and why the simple act of controlling your own data is seen as such a threat to the powers that be. I want you to just think about that for a second. In a world that practically begs us to share, to post, to engage 24/7, what does it even mean to just step back? And why on earth would that be considered dangerous?
This was the big promise we were all sold, wasn't it? This digital utopia where we could connect, express ourselves, find anything we wanted. A place you could be anyone, do anything. But that promise, it came with some fine print they never really wanted us to read.
And that's the reality, isn't it? Every single search, every like, even how long you pause on a video, it's all being tracked, logged, analyzed. Our digital lives have accidentally created the most complete record of human behavior in all of history. So that freedom? Turns out it's conditional on you being watched. Okay, so let's get clear on what we're actually talking about here. This right to disappear, it isn't about running away to live in a cabin off-grid. It's about agency. It's about having the ability to look at your digital self and say, okay, this part, this is for everyone, but this other part, that's just for me. It's about taking back control. And it's so important we get this difference. The goal isn't to become a complete ghost online. For most of us, that's just a myth. The real power, the actual power, is in selective control. It's the ability to consciously decide what you share, who you share it with, and for how long. Man, this line, it just cuts right to the bone, doesn't it? It perfectly describes the system of what we now call surveillance capitalism. On almost any free platform you use, your attention, and more importantly, your data, that's the real commodity. We're not the customers of these tech giants. We're the natural resource they're mining. So you gotta ask, who actually profits from this whole setup? Well, you've got governments who want to monitor and control. You have massive corporations desperate to predict your every move. And of course, advertisers who want to influence what you buy, think, and do. And that right there is why this is so much bigger than your personal search history. The fight for your own privacy, it actually becomes a political act. It directly challenges the business models that run the modern internet, and it pushes back against systems that are built on watching our every move. And here it is. This is the heart of the conflict. All those systems we just talked about, the ones for control, prediction, and influence, they need a complete, perfect picture of you to work. The moment you start removing pieces of that picture, you introduce the one thing they absolutely cannot handle: uncertainty. You become a wild card, unpredictable.
See, your privacy isn't just some little inconvenience for them. It's a wrench in the gears. It fundamentally breaks their machine's ability to operate the way it was designed to.
When you decide to withhold your data, you are literally starving the algorithm. You're denying them the raw material, the fuel they need to build their predictive models and all those profiles of who they think you are. And without that data, their power to predict you, to influence you, and ultimately to control you, it just starts to crumble. Every single time an individual reclaims a piece of their privacy, it's another crack in that foundation. You've heard the line a million times, right? If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. They push this narrative so hard, trying to make you think that wanting privacy is the same as being a criminal. But let's be absolutely clear, wanting privacy is a fundamental right. It is not an admission of guilt. So what can you actually do? How do you start reclaiming your digital self? First, it's a mindset shift. You're not vanishing, you're taking control. You're exercising your right to consent. Second, you gotta be proactive. It's as simple as taking 10 minutes to actually go through your privacy settings on the apps you use. And third, vote with your feet. Choose services, search engines, messaging apps that are built from the ground up to respect your data, not to sell. As we look ahead, this isn't just some passing trend. It's becoming a full-blown movement. As surveillance gets smarter and data collection gets deeper, this simple, quiet act of keeping a part of your life private, well, that's going to be a powerful form of resistance. Because in the end, that's what this is all about. The right to have a thought that isn't analyzed, a conversation that isn't mined for data, the right to be messy and spontaneous and unpredictable. That's not just about privacy. That's about protecting the very core of what it means to be human.